watching this, I'm a big gamer. I love games. Social gaming is really big right now, but I miss that original social gaming experience, the arcades. Arcades were huge when I was growing up. The consoles are great, but most of us in the 80s and the 90s, we still went to the arcades to hang out with our friends, meet new gamers, and either joining forces to vanquish the forces of evil or beat the crap out of each other in some intense versus matches. High scores in the arcades were like badges of honor, leaderboards. You don't really know those people. Local arcades, you know who's the best. They know that you know who's the best, and they know that you know that they know who's the best. There have been several retro arcade video series before, and this is another one. But I'd like to take a little bit of a different slant on things. The focus of this series is to bring out some games that are not as well known. I'm not saying that I won't ever do a review of something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade, Street Fighter 2, something like that, but you already know those games. You've played them or you've at least heard of them. I'm going to try and show some of the diamonds in the rough, or like today's game, at least some relative lump of coal. So, with the release of the Three Stooges movie, I thought I would start with a game from 1984 from Milstar, I'm not quite sure how that's pronounced. The Three Stooges Brides is Brides. If you haven't ever heard of Milestar, don't feel bad. They didn't really have any huge hits. They made a harder version of the Gottlieb classic Cubert, as well as an official sequel to Cubert called Cubert Cubes, which is actually pretty fun. They made I believe it was called Us versus Them, which is like a Laserdisc game, I believe. But they didn't really have any huge hits. So, the premise of the game is that three stooges are trying to rescue their brides from a mad scientist who has kidnapped them and who are keeping them in his lab. The game features three-player simultaneous gameplay. As the game says, you stand in front of the stooge that you want to play and wiggle his joystick.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, okay, they said it, not me. Anywho, each level has three keys that will appear. The object of each level is to survive long enough to get each key and then get through the exit. The exit will appear once you get each key. Your stooge has several ways to defend himself. You can slap enemies,
Hey, watch
um,
out.
which will temporarily stun them.
Watch
You
out.
can grab pies off tables and fling them to give a nice pie in the face, and that will do the same
Nice
thing.
guy, huh?
There are also hammers. What the hammers allow you to do is incapacitate enemies, and it also lets you break furniture. The furniture can also hold keys. This is a good strategy in this game, so it frees up more
Get the
space for
cops.
you to avoid enemies and also helps you find keys faster. So, how does this game stack up against the rest of the class of 1984? It's not really fair to review it as
Oh, a
like against
wise
stuff
guy,
today,
huh?
obviously. So, I'm going to try to in these reviews compare it to what was out at the time. So when you consider the games like Punch Out
Up and away. Left, right, hook these down to the hill.
and Marble Madness also came out in 1984, it does look kind of bad, but it's actually about average when you compare it to, the other games of the year. It's not horrible, and it's not great. It's just there. It's like right in the middle. Um, it does use quite a bit of digitized voice.
A wise guy, huh? Hey, watch out! She's a boys. It's the cops. Hey, watch out! Uh, she's a boys. It's the cops.
Um, it's not on par with the aforementioned Punch Out or Super Punch Out, but back then, any digitized speech was actually quite a treat, and it was still kind of rare at the time. even though it's starting to become a little bit more frequent. So, is Three Stooges a classic? I think, like the actual Three Stooges, it might just be an acquired taste. It has a nice, simple premise. It's easy to play, but it just doesn't quite have that it factor to it. If you're a fan of the Three Stooges, you might like it. You might want to check it out. So that concludes our first episode of Classic Credits. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe to the show. We hope to bring you many more classic arcade games. Hopefully, we can show you some that you haven't ever seen or had completely forgotten about. See you next time on Classic Credits.